Okay, considering, okay, grade 10s and 11s, grade 12s don't watch this. Grade 10s and 11s, considering the mishaps that we had along the way, it's not bad, okay? Hi everyone, welcome back. Our cakes are out of the oven, they're out of our pans. This is what they look like on the bottom side of the pan. I have everything here to make a buttercream icing. So I have butter, I have cream, I'm gonna use heavy cream in this recipe, and I have icing sugar and vanilla. I am going to cut off the tops of my cakes just to make sure that they're nice and flat. So I'm gonna move my turntable to the side and we'll come back to that in a moment. So usually at home when I'm doing this, and I'm not worried about how my cake is going to look, I just leave the tops. But I'm gonna show you today what we wanna do. We've kind of had this little bit of a dip in the cake. Not my favorite, but whatever. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take a serrated knife and I'm just going to cut this raised piece off. We just about had to run for stitches there. We're okay though. I'm just gonna feel it with my hand, see if it feels much higher on this side. I'm gonna come in here. I don't know if you noticed when I was cutting the cake, I made a big disaster. Stop it. I made a big cutting disaster. Now, there is this better baker than me, like owns a professional bakery, and she always uses the like cake cutter. Oh, I shouldn't have even done it. I should have just left it.
Students, we're teaching you how to do this the home way.
The home way.
The home way. When you do things at home, it doesn't look like Instagram.
Doesn't look like the gram. But if I oh my God, sorry, I did that again. Even if I just like did them upside down, we wouldn't have had this issue. But you know what? I like a challenge and I like to show you how to overcome cakes and miss cakes. That was an old foods assignment. Cakes and miss cakes. So clever. Okay, so I'm gonna put a towel on this so it doesn't dry out. It's a nice clean one. Oh, there's my thing. And then I'm going to find my small offset spatula, which is over here. I'm gonna add a little dribby of water. And then I'm gonna thin this out. You could probably even go a little bit thinner, but I like I said, I like a thick icing.
I do like a thick amount of icing between two slabs.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now I've got my hideous cakes. Okay, super. I've got my turntable and I have my board. If you don't have any of these things at home, just use a big plate. Thank you. Just use a big plate. And then Ms. N said, put this on like a Tupperware or something like that, just to bring it up so you can turn it easily, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to just put a little bit of icing on the bottom of the cake board, and so I can smush it down here, okay? So that's gonna kind of glue it into place. Such good news. I tried to figure this out and it got a lock on it. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna take my ugliest piece of cake. So I need to figure out what that is, or I'm gonna look at my nicest. So I'm gonna decide what's going on the top based on how flat the bottoms are. So that one looks pretty flat. If I put this like that, oh great, it sinks in the middle. That one I think is a little bit better. So I'm gonna put a little dollop of icing on here. I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna put this on the bottom, so put it right side up. And this is my cutting mishap. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a dollop of icing into the middle. If you wanted a different type of filling, you could go ahead and do that. I'm using an offset spatula, but I don't have one at home, and at home I use a butter knife, which I have here in my decorating tools, which I'll show you how to decorate with. Now, where I screwed up and where I chopped off, I butchered the cake, I'm gonna add just a little bit more. right? So I'm just gonna kind of fill it in there. All right, that doesn't need to be perfect. I don't love a thick icing in the middle, especially if we're doing a crumb coat, okay? All right, so this boy's gonna go on top. I'm going to place it, and now I'm going to turn the cake and just see if it could be placed better. And I'm actually like,
It looks good.
I'm actually shockingly happy with this, okay? So I'm gonna add another dollop of icing to my, a giant dollop, like probably a cup and a half worth of icing. At home, I don't do a crumb coat. I think that there's something really like authentic about a homemade birthday cake that is not perfect. And to be honest with you, when I'm not trying to sound like, obviously I'm not a perfectionist because you have seen how this is turning out. But at home, like I can do one coat and it's not bad. In the industry, so in the baking industry, what they do, and I don't love it because I find it just makes such a mess, is they will cut off all of the outside and the edges of the cake. So that's why when you get cakes from a bakery, they're very, very soft because all of that has been cut out. And you saw my cutting skills, yeah? I had a little nick on the thumb and I gouged the cake. So I just leave it. So oftentimes I'll use a simple syrup and spray bottles to absorb into the cake. So it will be nice and, really nice and fresh. And be really soft. So I don't do that. I keep it as simple as possible. And I also don't expect somebody at home to be doing these things when making a birthday cake for a friend or whatever, family member. So what I'm gonna do is I've got a couple cups of icing here. I've thinned it out. So what I'm going to do, sorry about the bowl, is I'm gonna put a big shellac of it on the top. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move my offset spatula back and forth, and I want a pretty thin coat. The reason why crumb coat is done in the industry, what I was getting at, was that after you're done cutting your cake, and the edges off and the tops off, now you're left with a very, very crummy piece of cake. If you're not cutting all these edges off, you're not gonna see much need for a crumb coat, okay? Also, I don't find it a huge deal if I'm doing like a white cake, white icing. It's a bigger deal if you've got a chocolate cake and white icing, but I like vanilla, I like confetti. This is how it goes. Now I'm going to take a big dollop on the back side of my offset spatula, throw it on the side here, and start pressing down as I move the cake, as I turn the cake stand. Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to miss anything, and then when I go to do my final coat, that it picks up those crumbs, and then I may as well not have done this. Okay. Okay, how are we feeling about this? It's okay if you can see the cake through. I'm gonna go on the top. I'm just gonna flatten this little edge and make sure I don't have any like big pieces. But what you can see, like right here, there's a crumb stuck in there, and that's where we want him to stay. You know what? No, I'm gonna take it right out. I'm gonna get it out. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna let this dry. And while it's drying, or before I do that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a clean cloth and I'm gonna go around the outside of the cake board. And I'm gonna scoop up any kind of excess icing. I see a big crumb there I'm gonna take off. I'm gonna scoop this up. And make sure that I'm not gonna let any of that dry before I do my final coat. Hi everyone, welcome back. My crumb coat has set, and I just wanna tell you how I can tell, or when I'm happy with how it is set. It is no longer tacky, so you should be able to touch it without leaving any sort of sticky on your hands, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the final coat of icing, And then I'm going to do a bit of piping, and I'm just gonna show you how to make a really cute, simple birthday cake, okay? So when I first started teaching foods, what was really popular was like Safeway cakes, like doing...
And things like that. And as the years went on, I found that things got a lot more simple. And so for me, I think it's just enough of a challenge to get a nice layer on your cake, to turn it if you're going to turn it, and to do a really beautiful icing. To me, that's good enough. The other thing that I really want to encourage is that, and Miss Annie might, I think you do disagree with me, I don't like a colored icing. I like a vanilla icing or I like a chocolate icing, and that is it. Thoughts? You know what? When it comes to cupcakes, like color icing, when it comes to cake, just a good old vanilla icing is good. I like a vanilla, like a white icing that's flavored, like a vanilla bean, because there is a difference between getting vanilla bean and vanilla. You have to explain to the listeners, the viewers. And a vanilla bean icing is usually made with actual vanilla beans, so you can see the little fuzzy ones, the flecks. And it's just like, it's visually appealing, you can definitely taste the vanilla more. A white chocolate icing I find is really good too. White chocolate and vanilla bean, I had that one. Like melted white chocolate. No, I've eaten it. I've eaten it. It was like at the city market. I got it one year for my birthday. I still think about this. I still think about my cake that I've never seen again. It's funny how these things, like, we can remember. This is actually why I love what teaching foods, and I know it sounds really kind of cheesy, but I love that food sparks memory, and that you can think about, like, oh yeah, do you remember when we were at this, or when I had this birthday, and blah, 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 like, we can have really fun memories associated with food, and that's why I remember every time I think of my cake, because my birthday was the first day of my first practicum. I think of being so excited. That's my first observation day, and yeah, delicious cake for my birthday. Yes, right? Like, we have all these beautiful things associated with food. Okay.
Now, what I'm going to do, I am happy with that. It is not, you can still see, like if you look here, you can still see parts of cake. I personally am okay with this. Because we have the crumb coat, I don't like a super, super thick icing. Are you okay with this? She's not. She just, she went, I can't even see it now. Oh, here. All right, all
This
right.
is also why we don't film after 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
I know, the afternoon videos are very, very weak. Like, I've lost all of my energy, and I feel like I say inappropriate things. We had to edit one out. And then we disagree, we fight.
We don't actually fight.
We're like an old married couple right now, quarantining together. Okay, now I'm scared to say anything, Ms. Anne.
No, it looks perfect.
It does not.
Yes, it does. I think it looks really good.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so when I first started teaching, again, the roses, blah, 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 right? We would do all of these things. When I competed in Skills Canada and came second in the city, no big deal. We had to do a border, we had to write Skills Canada, Alberta, or whatever we had to write on it. And it had to be super, super, super smooth. I am over it. I don't think, and I even think that bakeries, like if you were to, like, they're over it too, right?
Yeah.
Like,
But I mean, like bakeries also, they use more than an offset spatula. They have actual like leavening equipment. I don't know if that's the right word, but like actual like tools that they use where they can just like basically blob on the icing,
and then like that white
stick
thing.
it on, and it just like.
Would you know that we have those?
And we're not using.
We're not using it. Yeah, you know what? I'm just showing the kids how they can do it at home. Okay. So the other thing that you could do, and this is a trick, you might not know it, Ms. N, and I'm gonna blow your mind right now. Ms. N just said we are the Hot Mess Express this afternoon. I'm like, that is exactly what we are. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes. I've let it set. I've let the icing set for a minute. This is the trick that I learned back in 2005 so from like some awkward lady in Texas, and I will never forget this girl. Take a piece of parchment. Before I used to buy parchment, we used to use computer paper, okay? And it worked. But you have to be able to like touch it and it not be tacky. You lay it on and you so gingerly start like massaging the icing and just like rubbing out any of the lines. Until you kind of like get a bit of a fondant look. Without it making fondant. And do not request me to make a fondant video because I'll have to do it, and it's another thing that I can't stand doing. But of course, I'm sure we're gonna get it. Make a fondant bouquet. I'm sure, right? Like, is your mind blown, Ms. N? Not really, whatever. Okay, are we happy with that? Mm-hmm. Do you have any more criticisms for me? None. Okay, good enough. If we're a little bit less tacky, then you could like keep doing it, but I'm happy with this. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a birthday cake, which means we did confetti in the batter, and now I'm going to do just sprinkles on the top and a border. That's it. If you wanted to do sprinkles on the side, do you want me to demo that for you?
Sure.
Okay. then you can. So I'm starting with the sprinkles and not the icing because once I have my borders done, I don't want to mess around with anything on the top. So I'm just gonna put my sprinkles on and then just kind of like press them in. I'm just gonna do a little circle. Does that look like a heart or is it just me?
No, it looks like a heart.
Kind of does. Hey, should I go with that?
Yes.
Yes. Sometimes
magic happens in this class.
Sometimes magic happens in the Hot Mess Express pandemic cooking. Okay, once you have your sprinkles where you want them, then you got to kind of like press them in, okay? So that way they're going to stay. Oh my God, so dorky. Okay, then if you wanted to put sprinkles on the side, you just have to press them in. Should we come back in 5 minutes when I'm done this? Welcome back. That was a very much needed laughing break. Usually in the pandemic, I'm crying and not laughing, so it feels really good to have a laugh. Basically what happened is I started shoving the sprinkles in and Ms. N was like, awful. So we're just gonna have one cute little area and we're gonna move on. If this happened and you're like, shoot, I was making this for a birthday party or whatever, you could scrape it out and put new icing on, but you know what? It's almost 3 o'clock and we're in the pandemic witching hour. Okay. Whew. Border. You may have been to a cute little restaurant called Dairy Queen. Every single one of their cakes is piped around the top and on the bottom with a shell border. A shell border, squeeze, drag, okay? You know what my icing is? It's too dry, but we're gonna go with it because that's where, it's a miracle that this cake looks as good as it looks, okay? At this point. Stop shaking, okay. And then you can just turn, oh, so cute. Look at that one, it's gonna fall off.
So good.
Does it?
It does!
When I was young, this was my favorite piece to get. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to eat that big slab of icing.
I love the corner.
Ugh, right? With a homemade cake though, I like the centerpiece. Okay, all right. Now, what's exciting is you're gonna get to come to that little, the confetti blob is gonna come.
It's gonna come back.
It's gonna come back, everyone, here it comes. Whoop. I gotta stop, I need some more icing. It looks okay, my icing's a little bit dry. You guys, could you serve this for a birthday? You bet. Could you sell it? You bet. For $80? No. But you could sell it for 30. Like when people ask me to bake cakes for them like this, I sell it for 30 bucks. Okay, now here we go. You've made me self-conscious about filling the icing bags. Miss, can you hear Ms. N laughing? Are we in? Are we filming? Okay, we can't ever film a video in the afternoon again because these people are gonna watch. So these people, who's watching this? I looked on YouTube and my average watch time is like 2 minutes. So you guys are watching this. You're watching 5% of the video. So whatever. This is a real winner that we're doing today. Okay. Whew, my hands are shaking. I'm sweating. Oh, look at that. Okay, how do we finish this? We just do a quick little boop, and we hope for the best. Okay, I'm scared to put sprinkles anywhere else, but if you wanted to, you could do it cute along the border here. Oh my goodness. Okay, considering, okay, grade 10s and 11s. Grade 12s don't watch this. Grade 10s and 11s. Considering the mishaps that we had along the way, it's not bad, okay? Here's, if you were here, this is how I'd be marking you. Is the cake straight? Does it look like a lopsided mess? Did you put a border on it? Because that really does complete a cake. It's a little bit much on the bottom, like it's a little bit fluffy looking, but you know what this is gonna be? It's gonna be delicious. So listen, thank you so much. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. We promise to increase the quality of our videos moving forward. Okay, I hope you have a great day, and make sure to smash that subscribe button, and that, I think it's around here on your screen. Yeah? Do it, hit it. Okay, take care, bye.